This computer. All right. Welcome,
Excellent. Here we are.
Solana Smoke again, number 4. So today is, what are we? 29 of January 2026. So last week you had the luxury of having a Solana Smoke just with me, but today it's even more interesting. Ross is with me. So what are you smoking today, Ross?
Yeah, back on the cigar trail. So I'm actually I've got a Villiger, a number 7. So
Swiss.
it, yeah, kind of a cigar, almost a bit of a cigarillo, but it's one of these sort of things you find here in Switzerland. They, and yeah, it's always a nice daytime smoke. One of these. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Light smoke. I'm actually having a custom cigars that was gifted to me many years ago. So I can't tell you anything about the origin or whatever, but it was just in a cigar lounge. One of a newcomer that in the lounge, as a way of introduction, just gifted me one of his custom cigars. So
There's
we'll.
one from the back of the humidor, was it? One from the very back. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was in his case. We had agreed to meet, and as a gift, as a welcome gift, he handed me this. So I'll let you know throughout the video how they turn.
Excellent. Okay, and then I think we've got a great topic today, haven't we? Really, not importance, maybe not the word, but relevant,
Yeah,
and
relevant. Uh,
not just relevant, but also it sort of setting the foundation for what's going on. I think, isn't it? This topic.
exactly. So we'll start with a video that I mean, a kind of a panel that happened at the WEF, the World Economic Forum in Davos last week, and again about tokenization. There was I think 5 different speakers, from the banking industry, but as well from Ripple, from Coinbase, and as well from kind of the government. So we'll have a quick look. It's a 40-minute video, so I've selected already a couple of bits we can watch. And as always, whenever you need, you just tell me to stop, and then we'll basically just go at it together. So
Right.
here it is. Here's the panel. So the host is from CNBC, and now is basically the introduction. I think it'll help us get in the mood.
Joining us, François Villeroy de Galhau, who is the Governor of the Central Bank of France, also ECB Governing Council member. Bill Winters, Group Chief Executive, Standard Chartered Bank, also International Business Council. Valérie Urbain, Chief Executive Officer, Euroclear Belgium. Brian Armstrong, co-founder and chief executive officer, Coinbase, and Brad Garlinghouse, who is the chief executive officer of Ripple. Thank you so much for joining us today. Well, Governor, I want to kick off the conversation exploring why we are here today talking about tokenization. France has the G7 presidency this year. You've put innovative finance on the agenda already, talking about tokenization. Why?
Good morning, Karen. Good morning to you all. Let me first stress that tokenization and stable coins might be the name of the game really this year. If we had been in Davos 1 year ago, remember, nobody spoke about stable coins.
So just to talk about the post that we had last week or 2 weeks ago was where Larry Fink, so a BlackRock CEO, was as well kind of pushing tokenization as the world of 2026. So it's curious how governments and, of course, private entities really have a kind of a unified point of view for once of where to put
Yeah,
priority.
it's just I'm just trying to sense whether this guy believes what he's saying or not. He's sort of a French politician.
Yeah,
Who is
yeah.
he again? He's the what was his
Uh,
position?
he's a governor of the French banking. So let me double check.
So he's as boomer and fiat currency
As
world as it
as
gets, isn't
boomer
he?
as you can get.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
then you got Bill Winters next to him. Now Bill Winters uh was one of like Jamie Dimon's proteges, and Jamie Dimon like chops the heads off his proteges once they get too big, and then they have
hmm.
to go off somewhere. But Bill Winters was they normally end up in some sort of scandal, but Bill Winters was obviously very capable So he's an interesting person to have on here.
Yeah, Standard Chartered
Yeah,
Bank, very
yeah.
big
So
bank.
interesting to see what he's. Yeah, they are quite big in crypto, aren't they? So with the Zodia. So
Yeah,
let's
exactly. They're
see.
present
Let's
in, I
see.
think they're in 60 countries, the Standard Chartered Bank. So
Mm,
very big institution. So
yeah, sort of British Asian type thing, right? So
yeah,
anyway, yeah.
you'll understand better Bill than our than our French governor.
And now it's very fashionable. I hope it will be still more important this year than Greenland, but we'll see. And let me stress that tokenization is for the better. I really believe it will bring progress in global finance, delivery versus payments, diminution of cost of financial transactions, etc. By the way, we don't know yet how far the use cases will go. If you look at the forecast for the volume of stable coins, including on the US market, the bracket is very wide. And it's interesting because at present, the use cases are concentrated on the crypto exchanges and a bit cross-border. I think it will come to domestic financial transactions, very significant. Could it come to domestic, quote unquote, economic transaction, including retail? The jury is still out. But anyway, it will develop, and I think develop for the better. That said, there are threats. And as I am a central banker, let me insist a bit on at least I gave a speech 2 weeks ago with a triangle of threats and a triangle of answer, but let me sum up. The first threat is privatization of money. And loss of sovereignty for many jurisdictions. And we know this is a real fear, especially in emerging countries. But if we have only the currency in the future, which is private, and let us be honest, which is issued by American issuers, private companies, then we will have a question on sovereignty. Here's the answer.
I mean, why do you think it's only American stablecoin that are now known in the world? Let's be honest. It's
I
made.
mean, it's interesting. He's come up with this concept of the privatization of money, isn't it?
Mhm.
But Bitcoin's a privatization of money, but it's decentralized. So I don't know if he's thinking, oh well, it's going to be Coinbase or JP Morgan or Tether or Apple that are going to be issuing the money of the future, right? People will just be using the Amazon stablecoin for everything, and then he's out of a job, right? So,
I mean, I don't know if I would say so much that Bitcoin is privatization of money. I think it's the opposite. I think it's making the money kind of public and decentralized. So far from private, I think it's what it is. It's non-government control, but I wouldn't call it private. I think it was more fully public.
right. I mean, I wasn't sure what he meant by private. Yeah, I felt like that means just like not like a central bank or
Yes,
central government
in
controlled.
in
Yeah,
that sense, 100%.
but what you mean? You think he means
I
What do you
mean,
think he
right
means?
now, private. Why? Because most of the stablecoin are issued by Circle, Tether, which are private companies. And they are
Right.
like who is making the money on the stablecoin? It is those companies.
Mm,
Circle just by getting your dollar, putting it in T-bills and getting their 5%. This is how they run, and they're still very
mm.
much private. So yeah, I think like you say, he's scared for his job, but at least he's coming at it with a point of okay, let's make sure that we go in the future with it, and it's good that it's on top of their agenda.
No, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because what's wrong with a currency or being issued by Tether, say? I mean,
Uh,
what we don't like about current currencies are
the fact that a small group of individuals have access to the printing press. This is why we don't like.
yeah. I mean, I
Um,
think because what's happened in the Western world, isn't it? Is that those central banks and a lot of the monetary policy was moved away from the congresses and the parliaments, right? And it's being dictated to by these independent bodies, right?
mhm.
Um, that have, and which also sometimes have quite certain political leanings as well. So yeah, I mean, I guess he is making quite a good point as well, right? Like if the main thing's being controlled by this like private company that God knows what their views are and what how they're doing things. I guess I think he's making
Yeah, he's making a
got
fair
genuine
point.
concern as well, isn't he? Yeah, he's made a fair
big
point.
intro.
ECBDC. And let me be very brief on what we do in the European field, because we are pioneers there. Everybody is focused on the retail side and the so-called digital euro. But I will insist more on the wholesale side, because as I said, the most important use cases will be wholesale on the financial. Here we develop a wholesale CBDC, and let me stress that the URI is completely pioneer. We will have this year, thanks to the so-called Pontes project, a pilot wholesale CBDC, first worldwide. And then we will have a so-called APIA project, more comprehensive, with a European ledger or a European network. But let me insist, and I will stop there, Karen, I don't want to be too long, that we still need a two-tier monetary system with public central bank money, which is the anchor, but which also private tokenized currency in euros and not only in dollars. And this is a question of stable coins in euros and or tokenized deposits. The jury is still out. It's up to European banks to develop and to choose. We could have both of them, be it stable coins in euro and tokenized deposits in euro, bank deposits. But if we have none of them, I would be a bit worried about sovereignty. And what I say for the euro area is still more important, as I stressed, for many large emerging economies.
Governor, a terrific scene set, and we'll circle back.
So yeah, interesting start. Clearly, he's got his own agenda, and I think it's very important and very interesting that they want to put Europe as kind of pioneer in this sphere, because clearly on the US side has been done via, like we said, these private companies, and now the Clarity Act, I think, is trying to bridge that gap. So let's see what happens in 2026. Clearly.
Well, what do you think he means by wholesale CBDCs? So is that sort of for commercial transactions or for the banks?
Banks to banks, I think.
Bank to bank, yeah. I think he means bank to bank, doesn't he? Yeah.
Because I mean, CBDC stands for central bank digital currency. So this is where I think he means that, okay, let's have all these transfers that are right now happening via SWIFT, done via kind of crypto or blockchain based tokenized elements to, like you say, bring the speed and bring the transparency. And as well, because I think that then there is way more use cases as well. Although he's a bit against, you'll see later in the panel, he's against bringing yields to stable coins. So clearly he doesn't know the use cases. Like he clearly said, like he wants the banks to kind of develop them, but he wants to put the rails into something kind of future-proofing it. So let's have a quick look at the second guest, and then we'll move on
to some of those topics. But let's hear from Valérie next up, because Euroclear, part of the infrastructure in Europe, you've been looking at pilots tokenizing Eurobonds, UK gilts, gold with partners. What does tokenization promise to achieve, and how transformative do you think it will be?
Well, I think tokenization is, we see that as an evolution of the financial market, of the financial securities market, in the sense that with tokenization, you will certainly be able to reach out to a bigger range of investors. You will give access to finance to many more people. So when we talk about inclusion, financial inclusion, tokenization definitely is part of the game. But I think it's also important for issuers, because if indeed you start reducing the time to market, you start reducing the cost of issuing, I mean, that also it's a benefit for the issuer side.
So here, I think two very important points. I think the first one is really giving access to everyone. So I think it's been the ethos of blockchain since the beginning, you know, the unbanked, but as well I don't know if it's in this video, but I heard that term, the unbrokered. You know, it's all the people that actually don't have access to investments because, you know, they don't have the capital, or their country doesn't allow for such thing. So I think they're all at least thinking, let's use tokenization for the greater good. At least they're saying it out there in Davos.
Well, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking this is our most boring video we've ever watched, isn't it? I really regret slagging off all the crypto bros now. At least they're fun, and and at least they actually say something. I mean, you have to sort of decipher what these two are trying to say, don't you?
I agree.
And I'm not quite sure they know what they're saying. Um, I mean, she just made sort of two loose points there, didn't she?
Yeah.
And it's not saying that she's actually going to do and
Do
support
it.
that, is
Yeah.
it? Is it? Yeah. So.
Let's jump into the juicy.
Yeah, they're just unbearable. These sort of these sort of boomer fiat infrastructure people, aren't they?
I'm going to jump to the bit where we actually have Brian talking.
Yeah, let's get Brian. Can we get Brian on? Let's get
Yeah,
this.
we will.
Innovation
Yeah,
is not
let's
the
get Brian
enemy
on.
of innovation. Once more, it's a guarantee of trust.
It's fascinating that you say that.
What was that? What did you say? You say regulation's not an enemy of innovation, it's a guarantee of trust. Well, I'm writing that down.
I think we should get a tattoo.
Role.
Yeah, oh God.
So now finally Brian is jumping on.
Is there a complementary role in Europe when there's so much regulation and it is about the digital euro?
Yeah, I actually think these are very positive sums. So crypto just broadly is a technology to update financial services. So it's going to help with stablecoins and, you know, tokenized equities and crypto assets and trading. And by the way, borrowing and lending is also getting updated. So I think that crypto is very good for fiat currencies. It's very good. Bitcoin is like good as a check and balance on deficit spending, because when there is a lack of trust, or people, you know, from like in a US context, if people are worried about inflation, or maybe in places like Argentina or Turkey or Nigeria, they are going to flee to the thing that they believe is going to store value more. So I think in general, it's going to be very complementary. And like you said, I think it comes down to trust. And so if fiat currencies can maintain trust and not have, you know, the money printer kind of debasing everybody, then they'll survive. But if countries that, you know, have bad behavior on that dimension, Bitcoin doesn't have a money printer. The supply is fixed, and people will go to it in times of uncertainty, kind of like they did with gold.
So the guarantee for trust is independence on central bank side. And we have a core mandate and we are accountable to that. But sorry to say that I trust more independent central banks with a democratic mandate than private issuers of Bitcoin, whichever you think.
Oh, just for pause. I mean, you know,
Centralized.
I mean, here we go.
We need to hear.
Here we go, right? Oh God. I mean, let's break it down, right? So the question is, yeah, it is now, but Bitcoin's not a private issue. Okay, I know you've got the Bitcoin Foundation and the engineers working on it, right? But it is fully decentralized code, right?
100%.
That's been run on, you know, hundreds, thousands of
computers worldwide, and no company, no government is responsible for the amount of Bitcoin being issued or the total amount of Bitcoin. And there's a cap.
Yeah.
This is the key differentiator against this trust in this body that is thinking independently.
Yeah, he's an independent body with a democratic mandate. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I mean, come on, we all know that he reports to, you know, probably five men in a certain room in Paris, right? And so I think what he's saying there is nonsense, right? I mean, to be fair to these central banks that are printing money, they've had to, right? They've had to expand the money supply to pay for the enormous social costs of the boomer generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they do sort of manage the wider economy, you could say, right? They're making decisions based on wider economic factors. So I'm not saying he's completely useless, but yeah, I'm not sure I agree that people trust them more, right? Because they do sometimes feel that the decisions that the central banks make are more for the top 1% of the population, not everybody else.
Exactly.
Mm.
So I
Should we
mean,
see what Brian is Brian going to
I
come
mean,
back here anyway?
he's having kind of the same thought as us, but yeah, let's hear it.
Protocol, there's actually no issuer of it. So that's in the sense that central banks have independence. Bitcoin is even more independent. There's no country or company or individual who controls it in the world. And so anyway, I think it's a healthy competition because if
I mean, clearly it's full of boomers and people that I mean,
it's a shame that Brian put his suit on, isn't he? He should have come in like with a hoodie or something, right? And he should have said, trust the code, and he should have called these guys trust bros, like he trust the code, not the trust bros, right?
people can decide which one they trust more. And I think it's actually the greatest accountability mechanism on deficit spending.
Bill, come in.
Yeah, let's get back.
It's funny that twice he's mentioned Bitcoin as a deficit spending kind of accountability partner. So clearly, I think it's his angle of saying, you guys don't control your inflation and you just keep on printing, whereas, Bitcoin is actually helping for making sure that, the value of people's money is stable, let's say.
Yeah. They just want to spend, right? They don't really care about the
and I mean,
right?
they have their own agendas, and and the decisions are taking for the top 1%.
Of the asset also in some parts comes down to yield. And it's funny, gold's been so attractive, but doesn't pay a yield. There's a fight brewing stateside around regulation. And I know, Brian, you've had issues with the Clarity Act, and now it's stalled thanks to some of your opposition. You've been talking about whether there should be a reward paid for some of these tokenized assets, almost like a dividend. Just explain that notion to us, because the Chinese are pushing ahead with a revamped yuan that pays some sort of a dividend. Why is it necessary in your view? Is it just pushing?
So yeah, did you know about this digital yuan in China? So
no, I thought crypto was banned in China.
Exactly, right? But apparently from the 1st of January, they've been actually giving a yield on the digital RMB. So very interesting change of direction from the Chinese government, but coming from them, I think there's as well a big element of control, by having it digital, they can control. And I think they maybe were having some kind of adoption problem. Not enough people were using their digital currency. So, how can you make sure that you're controlling everyone? Let's just give them a yield. And like this, more people are going to be using it. It's just an assumption, but they could be.
Yeah, probably right.
The agenda for Coinbase, or is it good for consumers?
Yeah, so the legislation in the US has been making good progress on market structure, and I wouldn't say it's stalled. I'd say there's a good round of negotiation happening. And so I think that that's positive. What we shared publicly was that we want to make sure any crypto legislation in the US does not ban competition for traditional financial services, banks, or traditional securities brokerages. And in our reading of the draft, that's what it did. It actually unfairly penalized crypto companies. We think they should be able to compete on a level playing field. And when there's competition, that's how the consumer benefits. And I think there's very
just pause. So what he's saying is that the crypto legislation said, right, here you go. You don't need to go and get a full banking license. You can do these activities under this license, but what you can't then go and do these type of activities. Is that what he? So that's what he was concerned, was it? That because I think there's a bit of you in crypto right now that he's gone and blown the whole thing, no?
I mean, I think this is the next bit of our talk is going to go towards. I think we're kind of done with the WEF energy. So
I mean, I read the Clarity Act and it looked quite broad to me that you could do everything you wanted to do. So I'm not quite sure what he's not happy about. I guess there must be, some type of
exactly of what.
So we got his. See, he sank it on Twitter basis, didn't he?
Yeah, so let's have exactly that, a look at the... So it was a tweet actually that made kind of the Clarity Act pause for a second. And I have it right here. So it was on the 14th, yeah, 14th of January.
I mean, we've had sort of Brian's confirmation there that it's not sunk, is it? That it's, well, he said it's just another round of negotiations. So he still thinks it's going to come into effect. So let's have a look. So
here it is. After reviewing the Senate
some
banking
issues.
draft over the last 48 hours, Coinbase unfortunately can't support the bill as written. So what do they like? There are too many issues. De facto ban on tokenized equities, DeFi prohibition, giving the government unlimited access to your financial records and removing your right.
I didn't think it had a DeFi. I don't think it had a DeFi prohibition.
What I had remembered is that DeFi was clearly outside of the scope of Clarity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or you were like, what was it called? Like a broker exchange or something like that. It was called, wasn't it? Like a digital exchange or something like that, right? So it's interesting that he thought that was banned. I just thought it just wasn't included. Yeah. Or this his view is if it's not included, then it's illegal. Maybe that's their interpretation in America.
Could be.
Mm.
And then especially draft amendment, I would kill rewards on stable coins, allowing banks to ban their competition. I think this point of the reward is very interesting. And there's this video from Solana Floor that came out this morning that I think we should watch, where he's going actually over why did actually Brian took that decision. And so let's have a look at these guys. Solana Floor is always top of their game on making sure they are bringing content to us. So let's have a quick look.
Oh, thank God we're done with the Trust Bros at the World Economic Forum.
I mean, things go to it's only 1 week a year, no? That they have these.
It must be hard. Imagine being that central banker, you're like an old guy in your career. You know, you should be at the top, and then you've got these like young people like coming up with better ideas. You got to. Must be tough now.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, most of them they're reaching the end of their career, and they're like, okay, do I want to start debating? You know, I was sitting comfortably in my chair for 20 years, and now I actually have to be online and talking about concepts that I barely understand. So, like you say, difficult move. So
There we go. Crypto bro.
That's our vibe.
There we go.
The important crypto bill in history was hours away from passing. For years, we've been told that regulatory clarity was the missing piece, the thing holding back institutional money, the thing that would end the SEC's war on crypto. Everyone in DC had January 15th circled on their calendars. Then the night before the vote, one tweet killed it. Not the SEC, not Elizabeth Warren and her anti-crypto army. One bald crypto CEO looked at the bill that his industry spent millions lobbying for and said, no thanks. So what happened? Did the bank slip something into the fine print? Did politicians try to sabotage crypto at the last minute? And why would the biggest exchange in America kill its own bill? This is the story of how one tweet killed the Clarity Act and why the person who killed it might actually be fighting for survival. First, you need to understand what died. The Clarity Act was supposed to be the holy grail. It would finally end the turf war between the SEC and CFTC. The idea was simple. If a blockchain is decentralized with no single group that controls more than 20% of tokens or voting power, it's a commodity, not a security. CFTC jurisdiction, not SEC. That means no more Wells notices, no more lawsuits. Projects like Solana and Cardano, even meme coins, they'd finally have legal clarity. The Senate Banking Committee was ready to vote. The White House wanted it. The crypto industry wanted it. Done deal. Then came the midnight amendments. 3 days before the vote, Senator Tim Scott's office released a 278-page amendment.
Wow. 278 amendment. And 3 days before. I think this is, full-on politics at their greatest power.
Well, I mean, as I think I mentioned before, Catherine Austin Fitz, who's always worth watching because she was a Treasury official, but she's a right conspiracy lady, but from deep in that world. and she just tells it as it is. She said this is basically the bankers telling the tech guys, you're not going to get it all your own way. There's more a little fight between the finance bros and the tech bros is what that is, right?
What has been, yeah.
And they might even all agree it, but they're just, not going to make it easy for you, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it's probably that. So I think it is going to pass this, isn't it? Particularly as the White House wants it done. So it's probably going to happen. I mean, you had the SEC chief as well saying they want everything tokenized. I mean, that's what I thought that tokenized equity thing was funny, because you did have the new head of the SEC saying they wanted everything tokenized. So I suspect this is almost just a bit of posturing, we're going to do this, but we're just going to make your life hell for 6 months to do it, right?
It was supposed to be a cleanup, fixing typos, clarifying language, but buried deep inside were two provisions that changed everything. And they
just pause, Maxime.
Say again.
I mean, sorry, I was just going to say pause. The other thing that might happen is that it was actually some lawyer just ran it through ChatGPT at like midnight.
Here are the suggestions.
Yeah, it's just, oh God, like somebody's gone and put it through ChatGPT, 160, and they just pinged it out, right? Some lawyer at midnight.
Exactly.
Yeah. Doing a few Bud Lights, and I just can't be bothered to do this.
I'm not reading it, but I have a deadline, so it's
yeah.
hard to say, right?
That's probably closer to the truth than we'd like, I suspect, as well.
Thing in common, they helped the banks. First, they wanted to kill stablecoin yield. This is the big one, especially for Coinbase. So right now, if you hold USDC on Coinbase, you earn 3.5% rewards just for holding it. Banks, they're earning $176 billion in interest from the Federal Reserve and paying you 0.5% on your savings account. Credit unions warned Congress that $6.6 trillion in deposits could leave traditional banks if stablecoin yields stay legal. So instead of competing, they lobbied to try to ban it. The amendment tried to thread the needle, ban passive yield for just holding stablecoins, but allow activity-based rewards. Nobody bought it. Banks said that the loophole is too big. Crypto companies said it still kills their business model. Second, they wanted to surveil DeFi. Galaxy Digital, one of the largest crypto research firms, called this the biggest expansion of government financial surveillance since the Patriot Act. Under this bill, Treasury could freeze your transactions for 30 days and extend that up to 180 days without ever getting a court order. Jupiter, Camino, or any other DeFi front end, they'd have to screen your wallet, track your activity, and report it to the government. Every permissionless protocol suddenly subject to the same surveillance as banks.
So interesting that it's kind of what the tweet was saying, no? So according to this amendment, really, they would have full control over DeFi. I still wonder how.
I think what's clear, Maxime, is that we've only read the Clarity Act in the first draft. We hadn't actually seen these amendments. That's why we thought the actual act seemed all right, because the first draft was fine, right? But
we haven't seen the extra 300 pages that they added.
Yeah, we haven't seen that. So yeah.
But I mean, I still wonder how could they, if it's all in DeFi, what are you going to block? And they don't see it. I mean, they don't know who's behind. So what are they just flagging wallets? So I mean, interesting that it's in the bill. Still very unrealistically, how can it happen technologically, I would say.
I mean, I think DeFi is going to have to do this. We've spoken about this before, right?
Yeah, we talked about the wallets having to KYC you, so you know.
Yeah, and like KYC and suspicious transaction monitoring is just very basics, right? And I don't see how DeFi can stay outside of that.
No, and I clearly
now whether it might be that what you say is that, well, it's the institution that runs the DeFi, which that goes against what DeFi is, of course, but that's the thing doing the monitoring, and that's the thing that's got to do the freezing. It's not that the government has some sort of backdoor into the code, and if it flags some traction it doesn't like, it freezes it.
But again, only doing it on US companies, US DeFi products, not offshore. So
but I think all those offshore ones are going to have that. No, I mean, like as I always say, it's only Panama that's unregulated.
I mean, they usually have their.
I know that when I read Micro, I thought it was that if you were truly decentralized, you were kind of outside of it. So I don't know if you're like just a truly decentralized thing. But then what? I don't know. Do they would say that's illegal? That if you've launched a code with that's allows us, that's illegal? I don't know.
I mean, the same way
Mm.
that a lot of the products are not accessible yet for US residents.
Mm.
So I guess, yeah, it's illegal in the US for a US person to have access to
Mm.
these platforms. So now they were
Mm.
kind of clarifying what is DeFi, or maybe DeFi with a US company.
Yeah.
Or
Two provisions, both benefiting banks, both buried in a cleanup amendment. Now, the night before the vote, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong posted on X, "We'd rather have no bill than a bad bill." One tweet, bill dead. The White House called it a rug pull. Kraken CEO Jesse Powell disagreed publicly, said that clarity beats chaos. Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse wanted to push it forward. The industry split. But here's what nobody's saying out loud. Coinbase didn't kill this bill for you. They killed it because they're fighting for survival. Look at the numbers. In 2024, Robinhood did 100.
let's have a look at the numbers. Robin, yeah, so
It's
Robin,
interesting that the Ripple CEO still wanted it to go ahead, isn't it?
yeah, do you think it's because they don't have like I don't know if they have the same use case as Coinbase, where most of their
Mm.
money is being made on this USDC holding? I mean,
What's the saying here? So Robinhood have sort of went ahead and then
yeah, and then
they're
kind
sort
of
of matching their performance, no?
yeah, ultimately they're matching it.
$143 billion in crypto volume, while Coinbase did $221 billion. Fast forward to Q3 2025, Robinhood did $80 billion, while Coinbase was down to $59 billion. Robinhood flipped them. Coinbase has always.
So Robinhood being kind of your traditional broker was more, yeah, more efficient and having more market than Coinbase. So
Yeah, sort of bigger market access, yeah.
Been late to the trends. NFT marketplace after NFTs died. Base lost to Solana on meme coins. Stocks a decade after Robinhood. Prediction markets released years after Polymarket. And their one edge, USDC yield. It's $355 million per quarter, nearly 20% of their revenue. Kill the yield, kill Coinbase. That's why one tweet killed the bill.
maybe that's the reason. It would basically ban their 20% of their revenue and make it more difficult for them to keep on keep on running. So
Now, here's where it gets complicated. Coinbase spent $79 million on politics in 2024, nearly $4 million on direct lobbying. They're one of the most powerful lobbying forces in Washington right now. They use that power to kill a bill that would have given the industry regulatory clarity, because it also would have killed their most profitable business model. Is that good for us? Actually, yes. If banks can use regulation to ban competition instead of innovating, we all lose. Brian Armstrong told CNBC that banks should have to play on a level playing field. If stablecoins offer better rates, maybe banks should pay higher interest to compete. He's right, but don't mistake this for altruism. There's one more wrinkle. Coinbase custodies the bank's crypto. They hold their assets, so while banks lobby against them, they're also dependent on this leverage. Here's the bottom line. One tweet killed the biggest crypto bill in history. Not because Coinbase is fighting for you, but because they're fighting for survival. They're losing retail to Robinhood. They're late to every trend. Their only edge is a stablecoin yield program that banks want dead. Now, the bill isn't dead. It's being rewritten. Everyone's still at the table, but now you know why it really failed. Coinbase isn't the hero. They're not the villain. They're a company backed into a corner, and there is stiff competition to be at the top of this industry. This time, it just happens to benefit us for now. I, for one, can't wait to see what happens here and to see just how this battle shakes out. I think the Clarity Act will pass either way, and this is a massive catalyst for our industry. Let's hope that Coinbase gets the W here.
Just pause.
Yeah, it's finished anyway.
I like this guy's impressive ability to not blink.
I think it did the food cut.
He's blinked about twice. He's got a cool name as well. He's like, his surname's Bahamas.
Bahamas, yeah.
I like to be Mr. Bahamas, and you're so cool you don't blink. I think he's been. I know he's obviously creating a bit of theatre for for the program, but he's a little bit harsh to say Coinbase are just doing it for their own business, right? I think they've they've used their money and they've been the one entity that's been pushing back
Oh
on the
yeah,
SEC and all that,
they've
right?
been very
Yeah. So
vocal.
I think you should actually probably thank them, and the fact that they actually bothered to read actually bothered to read all of that legislation, and well, I suppose it was probably somebody that they're paying out of all that money they're spending, but that they're doing that, right? So I don't think I wouldn't criticize them for that.
No, and I think ultimately, if those amendments now, I would be curious to actually read the clarity amendments and what they truly said.
Well, I'll let you do that and let me know when you're done.
278 pages.
Well volunteered, Maxime. Well volunteered.
I always take it for the team. But I think it's. I mean, we just want to make sure that everyone wins ultimately, and that the innovation can continue. So.
But but as well, like you have to have this fight now, right? If you get it wrong, then it's done, right? And if you're, oh well, let's get this done, and then we'll fight for an amendment in a year. No, you got to get it right first time, right? So yeah, and if you couldn't do yields, I guess what would be the point, wouldn't it? Like what if people could put their money with you, but then they can't get a yield or something. So
Yeah, possibly
yeah, interesting.
a
Yeah,
new
let's see.
quickly.
Let's see.
So yeah, that was kind of the videos that I think we wanted to go through today.
Yeah, that's great. That was, I think we highlighted that battle going on in the US, right, which will set the scene really. What or some depending on how that falls, that will
Yeah.
set the
Well,
scene for the years to come, right? Yeah.
clearly stay up to date and see. But I think just to talk about the comment you made before, for sure the Clarity Act will come sooner rather than later, and it's just going to be a matter of, okay, what does it truly clarifies, and what banks and crypto companies will get from it. So
Yeah.
that's about it
Well,
for
yeah, well
today.
done. Well, at least Mr. Armstrong's, is all over it. So
Yeah,
we'll trust him to make sure it's all in order.
exactly.
I think we're interested in DeFi. The other thing I wanted to say was this guy sort of Mr. Bahamas, was he sort of gloating because he's from Solana and that he's sort of
And
anti Coinbase as a sort of
they
centralized Ethereum
yeah,
based
to,
right? And is that why he's a little bit anti Coinbase or?
uh, I don't know if he's really anti Coinbase. I think he was just kind of trying to understand really what was happening, and but there could be an element.
Or he's just a crypto bro, which is like, let's fucking go, let's get the act in place, and then I like no intention of actually reading it. Yeah, yeah, let's go, let's get it in, clarity's in. Like, but yeah, well, none of us bothered to read it. It's banned everything that we wanted to do. But at
Exactly.
least Mr. Armstrong, with
Actually,
his suit and tie, actually sat down and read it.
yeah, got his legal team on it.
Mm,
So
mm.
we'll see. We'll see. Cool. Well, that's
Excellent. All
that's
right,
it
yeah,
for
good
today.
one.
Thanks, Ross.
Yeah,
And
no worries.
see you next week.